All righty. Okay. We are good. We're live. I'm going to go ahead and bring in our special guest speaker today. Okay, everybody, we're on, and we just started, so we don't have anybody on yet, but oh wow, jumped on 3 people right away. So perfect. I wanted to welcome everybody today, our first special guest speaker, and near and dear to my heart, a local resident here, lives in Chandler, has a company, Empower Educational Consulting, and so much more than that. But let me introduce you guys to Sue Yocum and her beautiful daughter, Kiri.
Hey, we are so, Kristi, thank you. We're so excited for this opportunity. We are just I would say living the dream, but I don't know, like we can't figure out what's going on in the world right now. But I have to tell you, as we start, I don't know about you guys, but today our whole family went over to the park, and I was just going to do a quick workout, and I stood around and looked at the park and thought, what happened? This is amazing. Families are out, they're walking 6 feet apart, jogging, working out, friends, people are laughing and smiling. I don't think I've ever seen that many people. And even around our neighborhoods, right? Like people are walking and waving from a distance. And so in such kind of tumultuous times, we just have such beauty. So how cool is that? So we need to embrace it, right? We need to embrace it.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw a post yesterday. I keep telling my friends, I don't think I've ever felt so bipolar in my life, because legitimately, like, some of this is like such happiness. Like you said, the time that we're spending at home, the time we're spending with our family, doing different things. And then on the other side, depending on which news channel you watch, you're like, the world's ending, right? So I just feel this like swing of emotions, but then also, the whole thing of, so yesterday, if you're watching and you're in Arizona, our district has been on spring break. Yesterday, the teachers came back, and I kid you not, I had over 100 emails from the district, right? Because remember, I have 7 kids.
And add my 4, and we have about 200 emails. Yes.
Yeah. Sue has 4 kids too. High school and elementary school. Are the boys in middle school?
Middle school. Yeah.
Middle school. So we're talking multiple schools, and it got really real for me, right? Like, I knew that this was coming, right? Our governor announced we're not going back to school. First it was, end of March, then it's the middle of April. Who knows if we'll send more. But it got really real for me yesterday when I got all these emails. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, we started getting emails from all 7 teachers from each of my middle school, high schoolers, but then the district emails, and then usernames and passwords, and, tips and tricks and all these different things. And I just know that there are a lot of people out there. Just so you guys know, Sue has her whole life been in education, and, master's degree, every grade level. She specializes in helping teachers perform. And one of the things I love about you is in the classroom, working, in the trenches with the kids of all age levels and all skill levels. So you've got some practical experience for someone like myself who, please don't judge me, but I like working. I don't homeschool my kids because
for a reason, yeah.
It absolutely scares me. Yeah. So I'm really grateful that you, agreed to come on to our channel today. We are recording this. It's live streaming right now to YouTube and Facebook. But essentially, I wanted to get together with you today so that you could just kind of help us ease some of our fears. We had several of our fans and followers and friends and family bring in some questions, but why don't you just tell me exactly what it is that you guys do? What do you specialize in, and how can you help us?
Well, it's Kristi, awesome question. Okay, so you kind of alluded to that. For years, I've been in education. I won't even say how long because I'm pretty sure I'm like 24 and a half, but that's okay. I've been in education a long time. So What we do at Empower is we have a phenomenal group of consultants, about 45 of us who go all over the country, and we are in classrooms every day. So school districts, a school themselves could call and say, hey, we need some help, like come and support us. So that's what we do every day. So from pre-K up through 12th grade, we work in the classrooms side by side with teachers. We coach, we teach them best practices and help them in their classroom, which is so fun. It's like the best day ever. And you never get the same day twice, right? And we get to go all over the country. So we get to see what's happening and hear what's happening. So what we're hearing now is everyone's kind of in the same boat. We're just waiting day to day, what's happening, our governor's making proclamations and where do we go and how do we do this? So now what Empower has been doing is trying to help families at home. So we get to do this every day in the classrooms. We are content specialists. We are best practices specialists. We work with social and emotional. So we get to really coach the whole child and the whole teacher, which is so fun. So what does that look like at home? That's the problem. So I don't know if you're having the same thing, but my friends are emailing and texting, help me, what do I do with my kids? And, am I really supposed to be doing this long? And
I think I texted you at 10 o'clock at night.
You did. One of about 40 of the day. So the great thing about this is we want to make sure that parents, number one, just feel comfortable at home. Like embrace this time your kids are home. And I know you and I are very similar. We love to work, but we also love our kids. So we want to make sure that we're giving the kids what they need, but as families, we're also giving each other what we need. So not too much stress, super easy going, and just really, really enjoying the time that we have at home. So like you, I got a ton of emails today, passwords, usernames, log in, do that. And my heart started to pound and I know what they're doing. Like I know where they're trying to do this. So first and foremost, to our families at home, please just take a breath and enjoy. It's not that hard. And we all know the best learning is when we do it together and when we do things hands-on. So I know they're going to send home worksheets. I know there's things that are going to need to be done, right? But take time to do them hands-on. Talk to each other. That's your best thing that you can do. Ask your children why they're doing what they're doing, why they're learning what they are, and just start to communicate. That's your first best practice, truly, is just communicate. The second thing I would say to parents is get a schedule and make it light, right? Set a nice schedule and try some of that one-on-one time with your kiddos. You're like me, I have 4. One who keeps running around, and they're all different ages. So you can't sit them all at a table like a one-room schoolhouse and just start teaching, right? So set a nice schedule. We do things that we call I do, we do, and then you do. So run that practice with your kids. I'm going to talk to you.
An example? Yeah, yes. I was going to say, give me an example.
So say with Kiri, I'm going to talk to her a little bit about subitizing. So we're going to practice the skill of subitizing. So I'm going to say, Kiri, do you know what subitizing is? Do you think you remember? Subitizing is when we see a small group of objects and without counting, you're just going to tell me how many I have. We're going to use that magic eye. So that's a little bit of an I do. I just kind of told her what we're going to do, and then we're going to try it together. Does that sound good? Okay, here we go. I'm going to have you sit right here. I'm going to show you some fingers, and then you tell me how many I have. Ready, set, go.
7.
Ooh, very close. Try again. Excellent. She counted and saw 6. I'll talk about that in a minute. Ready? Here we go. And
3.
how many?
2.
How many?
4.
Good. Okay. So we just did a little we do or a little practice together. Now, what I can do.
Kiri.
Good job, right? Was that awesome? Okay. Go find your dad and practice that with dad. Can you do some subitizing with your dad? You don't want to. I know that's exactly how that is. So just a little I do, we do, you do, right? So I'm going to pause for just a minute and talk to you about what I just did with Kiri. So if you have any early childhood kids at home, our pre-Ks, our kinders, even our first graders, that is what we call an early numeracy skill. It's called subitizing, and it's being able to see a small group of objects and without counting, I just know what it is. Now, I don't know if you noticed when I showed Kiri this, what did she do? Do you remember?
she counted. I think from the side, it looked like she counted 1, 2, 3, and then, okay.
She did. She counted all. So that means she did not subitize. But when I did this, she subitized.
She did. And when you did that, she did.
Yeah,
okay.
She did. So the great news is with a child, so this is just a mathematical knowledge, with a child, the benchmark for subitizing is you can subitize 1 year or one number less your age. So Kiri is 6, so she should be able to subitize 5. So notice when I showed her 6, she didn't do it. But when I showed her 2 or 4, she totally was on board. So she's right where she needs to be. So here's the great thing, Kristi, what we tried to do, and that was a lot, right? Like that was like, oh, what, who knows what she's doing? You're right. I know what subitizing is, and I know strategies and standards. What we did for parents is probably one of my favorite things. We created this pack for math. It's called a Spark Math. And all of those strategies I just talked about, like 15 big ideas for early numeracy for our pre-Ks and kinders and first graders, they're all right here in this book. So we tell you what the skill or the strategy is, and then we give you games to play, just like I played with her. So as a parent, if you're like, you know what, my child, I'm really nervous about them in math, you want to get something like this, because we can put a kid on a computer all day long and not know what they're doing. But because I knew what I was looking for and how to kind of assess or monitor that, and then we play together. She thinks she's having a blast, and I just did a quick assessment, right? Super fun and easy. So
I think what I just witnessed was that it wasn't stressful, right? Like, because honestly, I've been riding on the it's spring break because I feel overwhelmed, and legitimately yesterday, was supposed to be the end of spring break. So now I'm like, okay, I have to get things in gear. But what I just witnessed with you and Kiri is it wasn't stressful for her, and it wasn't stressful for you. You were quite, just playing a game but you were also working on some of those math skills.
Yeah. And here's a little tip and trick. As you can see with my now 6-year-old, the research tells us that we have the capability for focusing for the number of minutes as our age. However, it stops at 21, which is where we should all stop facially and everything, right? It stops at 21. So it stops at 21. So basically most adults have about a 20-minute attention span, right? And then a 6-year-old has about 6 minutes, and then you have to change it up. So keep that in mind when you're working with your kids, right?
That's actually one of the, that's okay. So that's one of the questions that our people sent in. They said, how much time do I need to spend on each subject? Like break it down. What should this look like? Does it take all day? Do we start at 8 and end at 3? Like, I mean, legitimately, how much time should we spend in with our kids working in chunks?
Oh my word. I'm going to start by saying, please don't do that to your child. Right. And I'll tell you a little secret about being in classrooms. And this is probably not so much of a secret, but they go to school all day long, but think about what happens. They're at the playground, they play a little bit, they, take 5 minutes to walk into school in their line, and then they drop their backpacks and their lunch pails, and they do all these things. They do good social stuff, right? But when it comes to learning time, there's not a lot of that. And that's okay, right? That's the way school is designed. So this is not like, oh no, I just told a trade secret. It's just, there isn't a lot of super intense time on task, and they're definitely not learning one-on-one. So if I'm in a classroom and I'm doing a whole bunch of engagement technique strategies, like talk to your partner, stand up, move around, that's time taken away from actually being on task, right?
Okay.
So the long and short of it is, when you're doing one-on-one with your child, all of that time gets condensed, right? So you don't need 6 hours. What would probably take me 30 to 40 minutes in a classroom would probably take me 7 to 10 minutes with my kid in front of me. Truly.
Wow. Okay.
And that's what you need to remember. Shrink that time down at least a quarter of what you think it would be. Now, if they're struggling with something, or you want to expand, or they're asking questions, go as long as your kids can go, but don't push it. And always remember brain breaks, right? It is so good for us to just get up and move.
What's a brain break? Tell me what a brain break is.
So a brain break is a natural way to get your mind off of what you're doing, to change. We call it a change of state, right? So you physically move your body. You're doing a really good brain break. You're actually calming your brain down from where you're at right there. So a good brain break would be something like doing squats. Actually, you're getting your blood flowing, but you're not exercising really fast and getting your brain all crazy. You're just getting some blood flowing. You get it moving to your body. You do 10 squats, golden, sit back down and get to work again. And I don't know about you when you're working from home, and I know you do, and I do as well. Man, after an hour, I'm up moving, right? I walk in, I get something, I walk around my yard or walk around in the front, and then I go sit back down. You're not doing anything crazy to get your brain, all fired up, but you want to get your brain moving. So we call them brain breaks. That's exactly what they're doing, is getting a change of state in your brain. It's awesome.
It's so funny that I never, again, though, I mean, I guess it's not funny. I never thought about that in terms of my kids when we're doing homework and things like that. I'm always kind of like, let's just get it done. Like, let's just pound it out. Right? Like, I just get it done. But I do that naturally, like you said, as an adult in just my normal work. I do that. I give myself those brain breaks and things like that. So, okay. So condense it down and take brain breaks. What about our kids that, I've got 3 ADHD, right? Like we have IEPs in school, right? Because my kids are the ones that are like, twisting in their chair and gymnastics on the floor. What are some things that we can do for those kids that just have a hard time concentrating and staying focused?
Well, the first thing I would say is honestly talk to them. Say, what helps you focus the most and what can I do? So have this conversation, because we have a thought in our head of what it should look like or feel like. Our children also have those movement issues where they need to go. So I've worked a lot with this in my own home. So I'll tell you a little interesting fact. I used to say to my kids, get those headphones off. My word, you've got to concentrate, or turn off the TV. You have to concentrate. Well, guess what? They needed the background noise, because if it was really quiet, they heard everything. They could hear the dog walking outside or the neighbor 5 doors down. They literally could hear fans buzzing. And so I finally just said, well, what would help you concentrate? And when we decided to do that, it changed everything. So my kids literally sit with their headphones on and do their homework, and they're just pumping like this and doing their own thing. And it was really good for them. So I would say ask them what helps you, because in the classroom, some of their teachers have asked them and said, well, how can you concentrate? They might need to stand up in classrooms now, and do this in your home. We always, we say, find a place that you can work, right? So we all know, I have friends who literally sit in their bed on their laptop because that's their comfortable place to work. And that would not be where I would want to be. Find a comfortable place and get a space, but also have flexible seating. So in our class now, you're going to see some amazing teachers who have implemented flexible seating. They might have a bouncy ball. They might have a stool. They might have, I'm not joking, what are those milk crates with a little pillow on top? Yeah. So, or the kids stand up. So remember with your kiddos at home too, that they don't have to sit still to do their work. They might be able to stand up or sit on an exercise ball or just a unique chair or something they don't normally sit in or do in, or let them just stand. So ask them what they're comfortable with and let them have that kind of flexible seating opportunity. I think would be really good.
Okay. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So another question that came in is, and this is probably for like me with my, high schoolers, is what happens when we don't know what to do? Like the homework comes in, and I mean, if the teacher uses a word that we don't know, or, that whole like, well, that's not how my teacher did it. That's one that, happens a lot in homework, right? We get the homework home and I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. And we go through and they say, well, that's not how my teacher taught me. What are some tools as parents for when we are a little unconfident on how to teach, carrying over or something like that?
Okay, great question. So I have a couple of things. First and foremost, ask your children what they know. Okay. Because what tends to happen is they'll say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. The truth of the matter is, unless the teacher just literally taught nothing, which I highly doubt, they probably have notes. They probably did learn something. So just start in chunks. Okay. Tell me what you do know. The research also tells us, and we know this as humans, when you teach, you actually have a higher retention and you know the material, right? So flip the classroom, if you will. We call it a flip classroom. Have your child become the teacher. Say, you know what? I don't know how to help you. I don't even remember doing this in high school, but tell me what you know, and then we'll go from there. Because I promise once they start to tell you, they look at their notes or just say, let's YouTube it together. Let's Google it together. There's phenomenal websites out there, especially for math, right? Khan Academy, there's great stuff all over. And you can get some of those videos to watch with your child. And that's what I would say. But start what they know, because they're pretty much going to say, I don't know anything, which is not true. They really do. They know a lot more than they let on. And then one of the tips that I've done, I had my high schooler here, that Callum and I have done together, because he did a lot of online learning, or he has done some online courses. And what I did as a parent was, again, I flipped the classroom. So interestingly enough, although I do have the content knowledge, I stepped back and I let him teach me. So we sat side by side in front of his online classroom, and I took notes. I got myself a notebook and he got a notebook, and we did Cornell notes together. So Cornell notes are just kind of a way of note taking, but I love them because they let you take them in a very A-type personality, very linear, but they also allow you to do drawings and doodling and ask questions like as you're going along. So he and I together, I took notes and he took notes, and then we talked and compared. So when we first started, I said, just talk to your kids, right? Like just make this a conversation versus teaching lesson, because you teach naturally when we just ask questions. And so with my middle schoolers and high schoolers, I kind of flip the classroom on them and don't have to do so much teaching, but we discuss and we have discourse and we talk together. So I would say one-on-one with most of your kids, and then allow your older kiddos to help your youngest, because again, that same principle is going to hold true. They're going to learn and internalize more when they help their younger siblings.
That was the other question is, how do we teach, when we have, like, from 11th grade to 1st grade in my house, right? And, as a parent, what does that look like? You said in the beginning, this isn't a typical classroom where everybody sits down at the kitchen table and direct instruction for everybody. So help us understand that a little bit.
Yeah. Again, I think what we know as even human beings, when we have voice and when we have choice, things just go much smoother, right? Like we all want a choice and we all want voice in what we're doing and saying. Nobody really likes to be told what to do. And so give that same opportunity to your kids. I will absolutely say you need to make a schedule, but make it light, right? And make it with your kids in the evening, or one day a week, just say, okay, what's our schedule going to be? I'm giving our kids the opportunity to work with each other and say, okay, who do you want to work with today? So Kiri, who's 6, I'll say, which brother do you work with today, or do you want to work with mom and dad? So kind of for the choice. And then we're just doing things like this, just quick and easy activities that we have developed, right?
Oh, did we lose Sue? Not sure if it's me or if it's Sue that froze up for a second. Let's see. Well, while Sue comes back on, while she reloads, couple things that I wrote down just to summarize, bring to us to help us. One, she talked about flexible. One, create a schedule that's flexible. I thought that was really important, that we understand that we don't have to start at 8 and end at 3. She's right. Our kids are, in walking from the classroom to the lunchroom and then recess and then that whole transition time. But the time on task is not an hour at a time, right? It's just naturally in smaller chunks. And because they're getting that one-on-one support, it doesn't need to be as long as it was. Oh, she's back. We'll go ahead and add her back in. Okay, so I was summarizing. No worries.
Good skill, Kristi.
I was summarizing some of the things that you said. I have a page full of notes, just in little things to remind myself. I love that voice and choice. But let's go ahead and wrap this up. And why don't you share with us, because you guys have amazing tools available for parents. Like I said, you guys are located in Chandler, Arizona. You have all these great tools. I was hoping you could show us some stuff we could do at home, and then tell us about the products that you do have. And by the way, they've donated some products to the Big Helper team. So we are going to be putting together a drawing to give some of these supplies away. In fact, I have one right here. So, and Sue's got some behind you. So we are going to be giving away some of these products. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and wrap this up and help us understand some of the things that we can do at home that are fun and what's available.
Okay, so a few things. Something that we have done, again, just knowing what we know from being in the classroom, we wanted to be able to bring that home to be super easy. So we've done two things that are absolutely amazing right now. One is our Spark Kits, and they're really in depth. They teach you how to teach your kids how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, do fractions and decimals. It is awesome. So you really can be the expert, and it will cement and help you understand what's happening in the classroom. You mentioned, what about carrying and borrowing, and what is that? And I don't know what strategy they're doing, and I've never seen that before. That will help you. So if you want to go really in depth in mathematics, absolutely, you definitely want your Spark Kits. Now, this is what we've recently done, and we're so excited. So on our website, Empower EC for Educational Connections, Empower Education Connections, Empower EC.
I'm going to write that up right now. EmpowerEC.com. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and.
You can go get, we call them one-a-days. So on our one-a-days, we give you a download. So for $19, you get 10 activities that will last you 2 weeks. And we call them one-a-day. They're super awesome. Things that they would be doing in the classroom with their teachers anyway. So they're tied to the standards. They're absolutely fun and engaging, which is our bigger thing. No worksheets and no technology. We're on devices enough, right? Like we know what that does to our brains too. So we want these discussions. We want these things. My daughter, can you hear her playing with her math manipulative? She loves them, her math games. So what you see is that we have these math activities. We have literacy activities or reading things. And we have writing as well. So again, really easy. And on this are tips and tricks for the parents. So it'll say how to ignite their thinking. What do I say? We call them sentence frames or sentence starters for kids, like how to talk to my kids. What do I say when they're doing this, or how do I help them get started? And then we also have we call them strategy talks. So what skills or strategies are we really trying to learn? And just a little sentence frame for you to become the teacher really easy. So we love these because, by the way, I have the 8th grade one, don't panic, but teaching inference to your kid in 8th grade would be like, I don't know how to do that. And this will help you. And then it gives the child an activity to do, really easy and not a lot to have. Really, if with all the literacy stuff, you add your kid and you add a piece of text or a book and you're good to go, right? Everything's there. And with the math, you add some dice or cards and you're golden. Maybe some Cheetos, I don't know, like manipulatives, to count, and you're golden, you're good. So super, super fabulous. We're really excited to launch these. And believe it or not, we already have 8 weeks ready.
Wow.
So buy them in 2-week packs because we never know how long we're going to be in or out of school.
Yes.
So we don't want to make it one more thing for the parents by any means, but we want to make something really easy. And I don't know about you, but as a parent, I just want to say, just give me one thing and let me just do it and let me enjoy it with my kids. And then I know they're getting what they need. So that's why we call them one-a-days. It's like, we really just need to do one good thing every day with our kids. So you can get our Spark Kits or our one-a-days. And remember, just have fun with your kids at home. That's what it's about. You said, what are some great activities to do? Honestly, just talk to them. When you're reading a book, What's your favorite part? Why did you like that? What were the characters doing? How does that connect to you? Have you seen a movie that reminds you of that? Those are all fabulous questions because they make connections to the kids with what they're reading, and then their comprehension increases. So it's just as easy as even watching a movie and saying, what does that remind you of? Have you ever been in that situation? Like, there's so many easy questions for doing things we do every single day. Even Kelton was out sweeping, and I said, well, why did you choose to sweep like that? Like, how come you started where you started? What was your reasoning? So even talking about when they're doing logical, easy things, just questioning their reasoning and their processing makes a good teaching moment.
Are you sure you don't want to be quarantined at my house?
Absolutely. And I was just going to say this. All of our consultants, so we have 44 of us, have also said that they will be online and available for questions. So if you go to our website and you type in your question and you hit send between the hours of 9 and 5, we will respond to your questions, because we really
that's amazing.
And we just, wanted people to say, I don't know what this is, or do you have a resource, or what should I do if? Well, we're totally there to help. So definitely shoot out questions to us. So
perfect. Well, I can't thank you enough. Like I said, I've got a page of notes here. I feel slightly more empowered myself to take on the task of homeschooling 7 kids. So here's what I'm going to do is, Sue and I talked about this earlier. We want to do a follow-up to today where we actually, maybe we'll just take on one subject. So maybe we'll take on math and hit a couple different things. So we'll get that set, make sure you guys are looking for our next event. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we put together a contest to give out some of these kits. So now what we'd love is for you guys to like and comment, so comment on this and share it. And then from there, we'll go ahead and pick some random winners for some of these one-a-days and Spark kits to get into your home. If you want to know more about the resources that Sue mentioned today, right here, you can see empowerec.com. And as she mentioned, I didn't even know this before today, their consultants are going to be there for some Q&A, which, I mean, let's just face it. And I actually have to tell you a funny story. So I told my kids last night, because they've been staying up late and sleeping in late. And again, I've been riding the wave of it's spring break. And I told them, I said, hey guys, officially homeschool starting tomorrow. And my 6-year-old was so excited. She got all dressed, and then she asked me if she needed to pack a lunch. Mom, are we packing a lunch for homeschool? I said, no, we don't need to pack a lunch for homeschool. But it brought into me where, I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling the weight of the world and COVID-19 and, the economy and like all of these different things. But to my daughter, she just knows that mom and dad are home, working from home. We're playing games as a family. We're eating dinner as a family. Like, it's that perspective. Here I am carrying the weight of all of this. She's so excited to start homeschool. She's elated.
Yeah,
and I
got her lunch ready. Yeah.
Legitimately, she did. And she asked if grandma could be her teacher today. And so I think I would end with that is, while we might feel overwhelmed as adults with adult perspective, let's step back and think about our kids and how they're going to remember this and how they're going to experience it. And this, 10 years from now, they'll remember, oh, I remember when my mom got to be my teacher, right? Like, that's a unique opportunity, because again, I would not sign up for this.
You did not sign up for that initially, right?
I didn't sign up for this. I keep waiting for them to say it's just a joke. They're coming back to school. So, but yes, stay tuned. Make sure to follow, and we'll go ahead and in the next couple of days, we'll pick some of the comments and people who have shared. And if you need anything, Sue, how can they find you? Is Empower EC the best way to find you?
Best way to find me. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Yes, absolutely do that. And then just remember, we can do math and reading and writing and talk about strategies for all ages and things you can do. So those are great follow-ups. That would be fun.
Awesome. Well, I can't appreciate that. I mean, it's just, you've helped me so much today. You've made my heart a little bit lighter. I appreciate you taking the time, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you. And I probably will be lighting up that question on Empower EC. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.